We're starting on chapter 11, page 97. Knock, knock, knock. Justice rolls over onto his back and gropes around for his cell phone, squints at the glaring bright screen. 17 missed calls, 4 voicemails, and 9 text messages from a combo of Manny, Mama, and Mello. More knocking just then. Just, you in there? He groans. Justice McAllister is unavailable. Please leave a message. It's Dr. Dre, man. Open up. Doc? Justice sits up too fast and his forehead smacks against something hard. Ow, he shouts. Just, you all right? Door's open, he says. Before his head clears enough for him to figure out where he is and how he got there, Doc is squatting over near his feet. Rough night? The underside of his mahogany desk swims into focus. So does the realization that his pants are around his shins. Oh, snap! He scrambles from beneath the desk and stands to pull them up, but his head throbs so intensely he stumbles. Whoa there! Doc positions his chair behind him. Have a seat. Once he does, Doc pulls a bottle of Gatorade from his bag and passes it to Just. Drink, he says. All of it. I'm sure you're dehydrated. Just turns the bottle up. What time is it? He asks between swigs. According to the clock beside you, it's 11:11. Doc smiles. Make a wish. Or do you kids not do that anymore these days? I can't keep up with y'all. Justice peers around the room, their sunlight streaming through the pieces of tissue paper Breslin Preparatory Academy calls curtains. The thought of it makes his head throb again. He also needs to throw up. Excuse me, he says, falling out of the chair in the direction of the bathroom. There goes the Gatorade. He flushes, splashes some cold water in his face, and takes a good look in the mirror. That's when it hits him. Doc just found me under the desk in my dorm room with my pants down. Is he dreaming? Doc, you still there? Justice gulps. You, got any plans for this fine Saturday? Come on out here, Just. Dang it. Do I have to? No, but it's definitely in your best interest. Just takes himself in one more time and shakes his head. Doc is sitting with his elbows on his knees and his hands clasped at the edge of Just's perfectly made bed, which reminds Just he didn't sleep in it. He shakes his head again. Doc smiles, nods towards the desk chair. Talk to me, Just, he says once Justice is seated. Just rubs his hands down his face. What do you want me to say? Just want to know what's up. I got a call from Manny a couple hours ago. He's really worried about you. Just snorts. Doc smiles. He told me you'd do that. Whatever. The dude doesn't know me. Doc's expression turns serious. Tell me what happened, man. You mean Manny didn't tell you when he called the tattle on me? Doc doesn't say a word to that. Just stares at Justice with his piercing green eyes. There's no judgment in them at all. With Doc eyeing him like that, last night floods Just's memory, and the ache in his bruised knuckles seems to intensify. He drops his chin. I messed up, Doc. How so? Just looks up. Manny really didn't tell you anything? Doc pulls up his phone from his pocket, taps the screen a few times, and holds it up. Manny's voice pours out of the speaker. Morning, Dr. Dre. I don't mean to bother you on a Saturday. I was just wondering if you mind going by the dorm to check on Justice. He's going through things, and well, he's not answering his phone, and I'm sure he doesn't want to see me. If you could just pop in there and make sure he's all right, I'd really appreciate it. Room 217. When I called him back to get more info, all he said was that you two had a little to drink, and there was a disagreement. He thought you could possibly use someone to talk to. Just doesn't reply. So what's up, man? Why would Manny think you don't want to see him? Justice scratches his head. He needs a haircut. I got drunk, Doc. I figured as much. Doc points to the empty Gatorade bottle. I got drunk and made the mistake of going to Blake Benson's house. Some stuff set me off, and I really messed up. Care to expound? Justice says, ever since my run-in with the cop, I've been on high alert, noticing stuff I would have glossed over or tried to ignore before. Makes sense. This might sound dumb, but I started this project. Just says, for the past 6 months, I've been studying Dr. King stuff and trying to apply it. He looks up at Doc, still no judgment there. I've been writing letters to him in a notebook. So what's in your desk? Just looks over his shoulder in the blue composition notebook with Dear Martin on the white space. Yeah. Doc says, go on. Well, it was going fine, I guess. But then, remember how I told you my dad passed when I was 11? Yeah, I do. Well, he had PTSD from the military and was an alcoholic. When he was alive, he would drink so much and go into these rages, he would hit my mom. I'm sorry to hear that, Jess. Just shrugs. Was what it was. I caught a glimpse of his eyes one time. There was nothing in them. It was almost like he wasn't even in his body, like his system feet were on autopilot and his brain had checked out. Doc nods. I think something like that happened last night. I remember being pissed about some stuff in Blake's basement, and he came over to me and Manny and said something that just pushed me over the edge. Words were exchanged, and the next thing I remember, my hand was killing me, and Blake and Jared were getting up from the floor. I see. Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't be telling you this because it's going to get me expelled. Sounds to me like you're taking responsibility. That's a tenet 4 of the B Prep Honor Code, isn't it? Doc grins. I guess it is. Anyway, it's scary to think about now. The last person I ever want to be like is my dad. Dude died in a fiery car crash with a blood alcohol level of 0.25. But last night, I was just like him. I swear I'm never drinking again, man. That's a good start. And then Manny just shook his head. I just don't get why he puts up with those jerks. He looks up. Sorry. Doc smiles. It's okay. We're in your domain. You were saying? I know it's dumb, but when I hear him agree with those guys on stuff he has to know is wrong, I don't know, Doc. Doc doesn't respond. I'm pretty sure I called him a sellout, just says. Right now, I'm still so mad at him. I don't even feel bad about it. I know he probably wasn't trying to take their side last night, but for him to get on me after the stuff Blake and Jared said, it's like he doesn't even care about that they're disrespecting him or me. Mind if I play devil's advocate for a second? Don't want to dismiss your sentiments. Just want to give you a little perspective. Okay. So I grew up like Manny until I hit the 10th grade and transferred to a magnet academy in the city. I was the only person of color at my school. You remember how it felt to realize you only have so much control over how people see you? How could I forget? Just rubs his wrist. That's what it's like for me at the new school. Everybody saw me as a black, even with light skin and green eyes. The black kids expected me to know all the cultural references and slang, and the white kids expected me to act black. It was a rude awakening for me. When you spend your whole life being accepted by white people, it's easy to ignore history and hard to face stuff that still is problematic. You feel me? I guess. And as for you, the only way we're going to thrive is if you're okay with yourself, man. People are going to disrespect you, but so what? Guys like Jared don't have any bearing on how far you get in life. If you know the stuff that they're saying isn't true, why let it bother you? Just shakes his head. I respect what you're saying. It's just not that simple. Go on. It's frustrating, man. When you work hard and earn your way and people suggest you haven't and you're not worthy, and that stuff hurts, Doc. Of course it does, Just. But who are you doing it for? Them or you? Just puts his hands in his head, or his head in his hands. Another quick story, Doc says. In grad school, I had this massive fro. Usually wearing cornrows. I'll never forget the way my doctor advisor frowned when I stepped into his office for the first time. Throughout my entire PhD candidacy, he was hypercritical of my work. Told me to my face I'd never succeed. Just, if I had listened to him, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. Justice sighs. I'll let you get some rest, Doc says, rising from the bed. He puts another bottle of Gatorade in a Ziploc baggie with 2 pills on it beside the bed. Got you some ibuprofen from the infirmary. Try to stay hydrated, all right? Justice nods. Thanks for coming in and checking me, Doc. Anytime, my man. Doc shakes Just's shoulder. As Doc pulls his bag straps across his chest and turns to leave, Justice glares over at his phone, remembers all the missed calls and messages, and the lack therefore from a certain former debate partner. Doc, let me ask you something. Doc turns and sticks his hands in his pockets. Shoot. Do you, am I really about to ask this? Do you have a girlfriend? Why do you ask? Well, what exactly is he supposed to say? This about SJ? Just his eyebrows lift. Doc laughs. You think I didn't notice the change between you two? It sucks, Doc. Just drops his tin. She'll come around. Get some rest, okay? Yeah. All right. Just gets up and goes over to fall on the bed as Doc pulls the door open. He's asleep before he hears it clicks shut. Chapter 12. On Tuesday, Manny and Jared are both missing from societal evolution. Lunch 2, Justice sees Tyler, Kyle, and Blake, who scowls at Just but keeps his distance, huddled around a table in the senior lounge whispering. As the day goes on, there's an ever-increasing buzz, though Justice never catches what people are murmuring, because they go quiet whenever he gets too close. So when he's walking to the dorm after classes are over, and he sees the bros huddled around Jared's car without Manny, he knows something is up. Especially when Jared turns to give Just the evil eye and Justice sees his face. Now Justice knows he and Jared came to blows, but what could have caused that much damage? Dude looked like half his mug got attacked by a swarm of angry hornets. So he doesn't remember hitting him. When he gets back into his room, Justice does the unthinkable. He calls Manny. Of course the guy doesn't answer. There's a knock on his door. Come in, Justice says, dropping down into his desk chair. As he pulls out his notebook to skim the letter he wrote to Martin after Blake's party, he hears the door open and close before the bed springs squeak. When he turns around, he almost falls out of the chair. Dog! Manny is stretched out on Justice's bed with his hands tucked behind his head. His left hand is all taped up, and it appears one of Jared's hornets got to him in the upper lip. Whoa, Just says. Manny just stares at the ceiling. Something pops into Justice's head. Manny pushing open the passenger door of the Range Rover, telling him to get in. Hey, man, save it. I know you didn't mean it. Actually, I did, Just says. Manny shifts his attention to Just and lifts his eyebrows. I just really didn't consider the bigger picture. That's what I'm apologizing for. Not putting myself in your shoes or whatever. Manny turns back to the ceiling. I didn't really have your best intentions in mind either, so let's call it even and move on. Justice nods. Cool. After about half a minute, the silence gets awkward. Just cracks his knuckles. So what happened to your lip? I woke up. Okay. Just decides to take a page from Doc's book. Care to expound a bit? Manny smiles and then grins in pain. After a few seconds, he sits up and turns to face Justice. You know why I couldn't really get mad about what you said? You were right. I knew you were right the moment the words came out of your mouth. Oh, Just says. Saturday night, I went to a festival with those clowns. 4 times. Man, 4. I had to grit my teeth from knocking Jared's punk A out. Every time he made fun of someone, it was like sandpaper being dragged over my eardrum. Dang. When we saw this black lady with 4 kids and this fool called her Shaniqua and made a joke about baby daddies, I couldn't take it anymore, Just. I called him on it and he rolled his eyes, told me to stop being so blank and sensitive. Just doesn't say anything. All day Sunday, I sat in my basement, just fuming. I think I listened to Deuce Diggs and played Medal of Honor for like 6 hours straight. The whole time, all I could think of was how I said the same thing to you. How right you were. How good of a friend you've been. All right with all that stuff, Manny. I'm serious, Just. Those fools don't want to hear it when they're being offensive. They couldn't care less, and it's what it's like to live in our skin. These jerks aren't my dang friends. Just doesn't know what to say. Wait, yes he does. So, he gestures at Manny's wrapped hands and busted lips. Those? Manny smiles. This morning, I went in to tell Coach I quit. Huh? Dog, I hate playing basketball. Only reason I started is because when you're the tall black kid at school, that's what people expect you to do. Yeah, I happen to be pretty good at it, but it's really not my thing. Okay, then. Anyway, Jared was in Coach's office. When I said I was quitting, he made a joke about how I couldn't until Messiah set me free. I lost it. Manny falls back on the bed. He clipped me once, but I can't even tell you how good it felt to pound that dude. Coach wanted to keep it on the low because he needs Jared to play in tomorrow's game. But he sent me home and made Jared stay in the office until school let out. Well, dang. Manny sits back up. I just want to thank you, man. For what? For helping me get my eyes open. Didn't like what I saw, so I wanted to shut them again. But if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know some of the stuff I've always felt around these guys is legit. Okay, you're welcome, I guess. Manny stands and opens his arms. Bring it in, fella. What? Get your butt up and give your boy a hug. You really creep me out sometimes, Just says. January 23rd. I'm on page 111. I've got a lot on my mind, Martin. Last night, Manny's dad came down to the basement. In almost 4 years of hanging out at the Rivers' house, I've never seen Mr. Julian in Manny's sacred space, as he calls it. So when he dropped down between us on the sofa, it felt like a bomb was about to go off. For a good 3 minutes,